Hello, everyone. My name is Ariel Palitz. I'm the first and former Nightlife mayor of New York City. I'm here to welcome you all to 24 Hour Nation's first ever Nightlife call for Harris. As we are welcoming all of you into the room, we are going to have DJ Cyrus from Atlanta welcome you with the sounds of Atlanta, and we will see you in just a few minutes. Thanks so much for joining.
What is love? What is love? What is love? What is love?
The jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping. And the jam is pumping. Look at the crowd jumping. Pump it up a little more, get the party going on the dance floor. See, cause that's where the party's at, and you find out if you do that.
Hey, everybody. First, of course, let's give it up for DJ Cyrus out of Atlanta for welcoming us all here on this really important call. My name is Ariel Palitz. I am the first and former director of New York City's Office of Nightlife. And today we are having the first organizing call hosted by 24 Hour Nation. It's our Nightlife call for Harris. The intention is really to galvanize and support the power and the voice of the nightlife industry, our owners, workers, performers, and lovers of nightlife to really harness the power of this industry, the economic and cultural and job creating power of this industry, to support the Harris-Walz campaign and to make sure that everyone is getting registered to vote and using our important voice. 24 Hour Nation is an all-volunteer project that champions the nighttime economic and cultural economy. And we're using that power today to communicate with all of you and to organize us nationwide to make sure that democracy is at play in the United States with this industry. So the overview of the call is basically we're going to have 7 incredible speakers today and have some calls to action. The first call to action will be, of course, to make sure everyone is registered to vote. And we have a great speaker with us coming up to help us understand how to use our venues to do that. Also on how to volunteer and to donate with the Harris-Walz campaign through kamalaharris.com. And also to help us make our next call and final Nightlife for Harris call on October 8th even bigger and better, and to make sure that everyone is getting out to vote. So with that said, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who is Bridget Fenlason, and she is coming at us representing Rock the Vote. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. And tell us how we can use our venues and our power to get people to register to vote.
Hi. So thank you so much for having me. Rock the Vote was created in 1990, and we have been utilizing artist voice to activate young people to utilize and exercise their rights for political power and to represent their interests. It's amazing. The millennials are the largest, most diverse, highest educated generation we've ever seen. But in the swing states, only 17% of them actually voted. So all the numbers matter. For Rock the Vote New Orleans, I started in 2016 after the RNC, and my friends and I had a lot of feelings. So the first step is to register to vote. So I went to Rock the Vote and worked with them, and I'm very happy to announce today we have 35 bands, actors, and venues that are part of our Rock the Vote New Orleans. Should I keep going?
Well, I mean, first of all, that's incredible that, you use your frustration and put it into action, which is really what we're here to inspire everyone to do today. I don't think people within the nightlife industry, our bar backs, our bussers, our servers, our DJs, our drag artists, our owners, understand how incredibly important our voice is and how powerful it can be. And so we're really here to speak to the owners primarily at the moment to say, listen, you guys have these incredible venues where hundreds of people are coming in and out of every day and every night. And so maybe it's would be a great idea to have an opportunity for your patrons as well as your workers to sign up and make sure that everyone is registered and knows how to do it. Is there any recommendation or any instruction we can give to them to even potentially, organize events around a Rock the Vote and doing parties and bringing DJs and making this happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really important to know is Rock the Vote is one of the oldest, largest, nonpartisan, nonprofit voter registration organizations. So the nonpartisan is very important. We engage with everybody. Our platform is we want you to vote. And then we let the artists who are very vocal share their opinions on which way to vote. and it's not just, a lot of people have come to me and say, let's get to work. We're so excited to get to work. But I do this all year, every year. So it's very important to know that we're going down the ballot as well. Anyone can go to rockthevote.org and reach out to get volunteers. They have event packages, so you can print out signage. We have a text code. All of our bands have personalized text code, but we have a text code I can share that it's text NOLA. It's for New Orleans. So it's text NOLA to 788-683. And that puts you right into Rock the Vote. And anyone can go to rockthevote.org to get looped in.
Thank you for that. I think, even though this is a Nightlife for Harris organizing call for the 24-hour nation, uniting nightlife, Rock the Vote is bipartisan. And so any venue operators or any party promoters that have concerns around alienating people or not representing everyone, it's really primarily important that we provide our staff and our patrons the opportunity to know how to vote, to make it easy for them, and to really make it a celebration. And Rock the Vote makes it really easy for people to do that, to go to rockthevote.com. Yes?
.org.
.org. Thanks. I'm glad it. Rockthevote.org. And you're saying that there is, you can see it scrolling across the screen and being able to and get the instructions on how to create events. Make this something that really unifies the people in our venues rather than dividing. There's been so much division, and we know that the beauty of nightlife and of our nightlife spaces is that it really does unify us regardless of party, regardless of religion, regardless of the things and the rhetoric that try to divide us. So if we use the unifying power of our venues and our music and our DJs with the power of Rock the Vote, let's just help to get as many people registered and voting and supporting, hopefully, this campaign and whomever they want to vote for, and just to exercise the power of nightlife.
Yeah, absolutely. And our target market is 18 to 35. And the one thing that I really want to share that is kind of under the wire is in most states, you can pre-register to vote if you're 16 or 17. So in Louisiana, it's 17. So if I'm 17 today, but I will be 18 November 5th, I can pre-register to vote. So I am registered to vote. I don't miss a deadline, and I can vote on election day. Also, you can include the younger sibling, the younger cousin, and make it a family discussion as well. For venues, we don't tell voters which way to vote, but we do discuss issues. So our volunteers are pretty well versed in things that are happening, and deadlines is a big one that we talk about all the time. And what we encourage is I'll look up somebody's favorite band and I will post the link for that band. Or I will say, hey, did you know Katy Perry is a Rock the Vote artist? Did you know, whoever it is, whoever is going to kind of appeal to them to help encourage that their favorite artist wants them to use their voice. It's all about
maybe their favorite venue or their favorite DJ.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I appreciate
artist as a broad word.
Yes, exactly. I mean, listen, that's what we're here to do, is to give people creative ideas on how to use their platforms and their voices to encourage other people to register and to vote. So Bridget, I just want to thank you so much for joining this call. And I think we're going to have a lot of reach and a lot of impact to unite nightlife and to rock the vote. So I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me so much.
Of course. So with that said, we're going to keep the party rolling, and I'm going to introduce the next speaker, which is Stephen Brackett. Stephen was born and raised in Denver, Colorado, where he regularly interfaces between the music and the arts, grassroots movements, educational sectors. He's a member of Flowbots. He is the co-founder of No Enemies Project, which I love the sound of that, which, works with communities to explore the power of protest music and Youth on Record. It's a Denver organization that hosts state-of-the-art youth media studios and at-risk youths through music programs. I mean, what does he not do? But thank you for all the good work you're doing. And please share with us your message to the nightlife community about the importance of our industry and the importance of voting.
Ariel, thank you so much. Just making sure you can hear me right? Everything's coming in? All right, fantastic. I think one of the reasons I'm so excited about this call and the conversations about nighttime economy is that it's a great way for people to reimagine how they would love to live in their towns, their cities. And one of the reasons that it feels like it can be something like that is that the conversation is not a well-worn road. If you've ever had any kind of dissatisfaction, if you've ever wondered where your children could be at night, if there's something for them to do, nighttime economy is actually the place where these conversations take place, and they're not happening nearly enough. And one of the reasons that we're so excited to be able to have this conversation right now during this election is that if we're talking about this now, if you're somebody who's affected by nighttime, if you're working in nighttime, if you have childcare that needs to take place, if you're riding the bus home at night, if you're celebrating your city at night, we are all part of this silent majority that is trying to celebrate and enjoy our lives that has not yet been represented. And with that, there's an opportunity. So in this, we're trying to bring all of us together and say our voice matters too. What happens after 6 p.m. is of vital importance. Because right now, without us telling the stories, all the stories that happen after 6 p.m. are about the failings of society. But what else could it be? And we think that the Harris-Walz campaign has more vision in mind.
Oops.
How this could be equitable on this call. We're the folks who bring the culture. We're the ones who bring the vibrancy. We're the ones who set fire to the night in a beautiful way and set the lights in such a way that bring us all out to celebrate. So in this point in time, we're trying to bring us all together and say, what now? What could it be? And we think that this campaign, that Harris-Walz gives us the best opportunity to kind of build our campaign. So that we'll build our actual platform. So this is an invitation to vote, to participate, to organize, and then to stay with us as we start trying to let people know how we need to be represented with our imagination of how our cities and towns can be.
I love that. I think we come from a place of love and unity and the beauty, again, of the nightlife industry and the beautiful people within it, the creators, the performers, those who gather people together and see it as really healing spaces and places where people can come together to do the good work for the greater good. And that's what you do in your regular everyday life. And, this is a very important time in our nation's history. Campaigns are so, so important. And I think people often don't realize the power of their own voice. And, I just work in a bar, I just work in a restaurant, I'm just a singer, I'm just a server, they don't really speak to me, for me, no reason for me to be involved. But, this call on this day is about uniting the nightlife industry, hospitality, restaurants, chefs, to say your voice does matter. Don't think twice about it. Make sure you're registered, double check, know where to vote, know who you want to vote for, and get it done.
Get it done. And if somebody isn't speaking for you, then it's time to speak up. And for any of our people who are working in the night, any of our night workers, any of those folks, this is the time to add your voice to a choir so it will be heard. And it's gone for far too long that it hasn't. So make your voice heard in this election, donate, register to vote, and then also stick with this group as we start looking for more and more ways to make our voices heard.
That's exactly right. Thank you for mentioning that. At 24 Hour Nation, It's a new organization compiled of former nightlife mayors from around the country that are no longer sitting in their government positions, that are able to use their experience to galvanize the different nightlifers from around the nation. It also represents other people from within the industry, such as yourselves, owners, workers, performers. And so we're just at the beginning of 24-Hour Nation and organizing ourselves. And this is really a kickoff of what our work is meant to be, which is to have this industry speak with one voice and to make sure our voice is not only heard, but has a seat at the table. So do follow 24-Hour Nation. And thank you so much, Stephen, for your words of encouragement and wisdom and all of your good work. And we're going to keep it moving, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So I believe the, exciting next round of speakers are going to be some former nightlife mayors, as I just mentioned. So basically, I'm not sure a lot of people know, but there we go. There's my guys. I, as I had mentioned, am New York City's first and former, they call us nightlife mayors. Sometimes it's more of a hashtag. We're more the directors of mayor's offices of nightlife, or managing directors, so many different titles, but it's really part of a global movement. There's almost 80 offices of nightlife around the world, almost 20 now in the United States. It's really part of this understanding that cities are 24 hours and not just a daytime life, and then at night, all bets are off. This is about proactive governance, proactive management, and understanding that nightlife is an asset and not just a liability to be restricted and enforced. And so, like I said, there's some offices of nightlife around the country. We have 2 former hashtag nightlife mayors with us right now, Michael Paul and Howie from Kaplan from New Orleans, Michael Paul from Atlanta. And we're here to have a conversation about the importance of nighttime governance and management, and why it's important to have a dedicated non-enforcement role representing this industry, and why do we have one at all? So, let's start with Michael Paul. Why don't you give us a little bit of background about you and your role and what you accomplished and what your goals were in your office?
Thank you, Ariel. I appreciate the introduction. What I would say is, for myself, Howie, and you, we were all venue owners. We were all nightlife professionals from restaurant hospitality. My background starts in fine dining, moves into more of the lounge, nightclubs, and then became very involved in the communities that my business was in, and became involved in some of the community leadership, neighborhood association president, MPU, which is neighborhood planning units, and worked a lot with city council around some of the things that weren't right, that didn't make sense, because a lot of times elected officials don't know what they don't know. So we're here to we're the subject matter experts, right? So providing that feedback, which eventually led to nightlife being a pinch point during the last mayoral election. And I was appointed to the role. And obviously the work that you've done, Ariel, in New York was one of the reasons why a lot of the states have adopted the nightlife position. For me, it's really around, particularly with COVID, we were the only state, no, we weren't the only state, but we were a state that was open for business during COVID. We had a shutdown from March until June, and our governor opened us up. So quite frankly, guys, we didn't even have a mask mandate in the state. So city of Atlanta functioned different, but at the same time, the governor said that we could be open. So we were open. So it was us, Las Vegas, and Tulum, Mexico. So people were coming here. So it became a place where the vibrancy and the safety was lacking because of resources. When I took the job, I wanted to make certain that we were giving people the best opportunity and the tools to be successful, particularly pressing a hard reset on the enforcement piece and giving them an opportunity to get into compliance and get back operating properly. And of course, this has taken me to a place where I've met people like yourself and Randall with 24 Hour Nation, and we're really taking this nationally and globally.
Thank you, Michael Paul. To your point, especially during the pandemic, it was more important than ever to make sure that this industry had a seat at the table, that there was a dedicated point of contact for the messaging and the needs and the regulations.
Correct.
And then beyond that, just the general importance of the nightlife industry and orchestrating city and agencies to support it rather than to hold it down.
That's
So, thank you for your work in doing that and carrying the torch. And another torch bearer of the nighttime governance movement is Howie Kaplan out of NOLA. Please let us hear your story about how you were able to use the seat of government to elevate the respect for the industry and support for the industry.
So the funny question that we get quite a bit is why should you have an Office of Nighttime Economy? For me, the better question is why don't you? Things don't stop at 6 o'clock on a Friday. I think we've heard that quite a bit. Nightlife is about value. It's about quality of life. It's about public safety. It's about people don't move to places where they have to go to bed at 6 o'clock at night. And I think we have another speaker coming up, one of our champions for Save Our Stages and the National Independent Venue Association. The Save Our Stages, which turned into the Shutter Venue Operators Grant, $16.25 billion. Thank you. And we talk about bipartisanship. Nighttime economy isn't just about left or right or what your views are. It's something that everybody enjoys, something that everybody has. And protecting our culture bearers, they're not just musicians or DJs and like Steven, the Flowbots, and it literally is about all these people. It's the people that are driving you at night to the airport. It's people that work in hospitals and hotels. It's all of these things. And to sit there and say that it's not adding to your economy, that it's not adding to your quality of life, that it's not adding to everything that you do. We look at cities like Atlanta and New Orleans and New York that are all 24-hour cities. Everybody should be doing this. And what we're talking about at Nightlife isn't just about a seat at the table. It's about having input. It's about sitting there and crafting legislation that can bring things forward. And these people at night, they're not evil people. Good people go to venues. People go to shows. People go to restaurants. They ice skate at night. Think of all the things that you do after dark. And to sit there and not recognize the value, not just economic, but mental, physical, all of that comes with that. And every time that we sit there and demonize it, you're crashing your own boat.
Yeah, and it's not. I think to sort of help reframe it, it's not just about nightlife. It's about life at night, right? And a lot of people adhere a stigma to the term nightlife, that it's about anything after dark, nothing good happens after dark. But in actuality, everything great happens after dark, and everyone enjoys life at night. And it deserves the attention by government on a city, state, and federal level to help support it, to help orchestrate city, state, and federal resources and services to make sure that it is orchestrated in a way that is a symphony and not a car crash, right? Like during the day, the cities, you have your transportation, your sanitation, your security, your financial support, everything to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And I think that the nighttime economy, culture, and industry deserves that equal respect for the other 12 hours of the day. And so, I think nighttime managers such as yourselves have really held that space to be dedicated representatives within government that support these industries, the workers, the servers, the owners, the performers, and the patrons, as well as the residents, addressing quality of life, addressing safety. And so this is just the beginning of this global movement on a national level, state by state. And, thank goodness also we are seen on a federal level. We saw during the pandemic that our industry was thankfully not ignored, not left behind. We had champions on a federal level within the Senate. And, I will thank both of you right now for all the work you did in your states and use it as the perfect transition to be able to have the honor, really, to introduce our next speaker, one of our greatest federal champions, the first woman elected to represent the state of Minnesota in the U.S. Senate, Senator Klobuchar. She is one of the most effective members of Congress. She was ranked #1 for bipartisan bills, #3 for getting bills passed into law. She famously championed us and passed the Save Our Stages bill, the bipartisan program that was a lifeline for independent venues during the pandemic, and has also been fighting to ensure that live events ticketing process is more fair for consumers and artists and small businesses. And she's going across the country making a case for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And it speaks volumes that you are here with us today, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ariel,
for everything you've done and for supporting us here today.
Well, thank you. I couldn't resist. What a cool idea here. Not only in New York, because you hear U.S. Senate, you think vibrant nightlife. I'm kidding. Like Votoramas, maybe. I don't know. But in fact, there's a lot of work being done to support the people who we know keep this country going in a very different way at night, but all of the incredible entertainment industry and all of the people that support that and are part of that and are proud of it. I was actually just in New York, saw Suffs. That was a lot of fun with my husband, and took a little one night off and was able to do that. And my daughter actually worked for one of the council members there, Keith Powler, as his legislative director. And then she went to law school, but she did that for a number of years. So I'm acquainted with some of the issues, not just in your city, but across the country. And so I first just want to talk about what this election means, what Kamala Harris has been able to achieve. I think it's really important when people talk about leadership, the fact that Joe Biden made this courageous decision. And here we have literally just a few months later, she united our party. She's bringing in moderate Republicans and independents. She's filling arenas with, in North Carolina, 25,000 people. And contrary to what Donald Trump said, none of them are AI created. She has picked a fantastic running mate in my friend Tim Walz. And I will note she's been able to secure some major endorsements in the entertainment world as well, including Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish. I just heard about that one today. Megan Thee Stallion, and so many other incredible artists. So I just always think about the split screen with this world. I think of Kamala Harris on one side, with filling those arenas, and the joy with Tim Walz, the way they've been able to, like through speed dating, hit it off, and that's going to matter for how you govern, actually. And on the other side, you have Donald Trump and JD Vance, who look like they already need couples counseling. You have got Kamala Harris, who I was with her in that judiciary hearing. Some of you may remember my exchanges with Judge Kavanaugh, now sadly Justice Kavanaugh, but how she was able to have their number from the beginning as Attorney General, protected abortion providers, and then went on in the Senate. And then, of course, as vice president, being the lead on codifying Roe v. Wade into law and taking this on in a big way. And on the other side, you've got Donald Trump. Exhibit A said he wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Exhibit B put the justices on that did it. And Exhibit C said in a video just last year that he was proudly responsible to be the one that did it. And so that's I rest my case on that. But that is a huge issue, especially in these swing states, to so many of the voters. And then you have just the fact that she is led with small business, startups, and getting through red tape and some of these things that I think actually are really, really exciting. So I want to thank you, as I said, for the work that you do to connect people to really our country in a very different way. I think about when one of the reasons I did Save Our Stages was that during the pandemic, the venues were the first to open, first to close, and we knew would be the last to open. You can't stand in an orchestra pit, much less a mosh pit in the middle of a pandemic. Dana Frank, who is the president of Minnesota's renowned First Avenue, where Prince got his start, was also the head of NEVA, is the head of NEVA, the national group. She came to me and asked for my help, and I joined forces with Senator John Cornyn of Texas. Thank God for country western music in Texas, as well as a lot of great arts organizations. And we got the biggest investment in the arts in the history of America. And what was really interesting is we did it with positivity. We did it every time a member would join, conservative senator from North Dakota joins on. We do an event at the Fargo Theater. You might not know it, but it is a strong theater. And we did that really throughout the country. And we're able to garner the support to get $16 billion in funding. So that was really important. As a result, I have a star on First Avenue, 5 away from Prince and right next to Alice Cooper.
Greatly earned, Senator, greatly earned. And really everything you speak of really shows the power, the organizing power of the nightlife, hospitality, and entertainment industry when we come together like NEVA did to speak with one voice. But they also have to have a person like you, like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, people who can hear us and people who are like us and people who understand us and understand the value of the nighttime economy and culture and what it means to a city and what it means to us all individually. And so we just, I will say on behalf of 24-Hour Nation that we are so grateful to be heard. And thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank you. It was great to be on. All right.
All right. Be well. Good luck out there. Thank you for all your support. Okay. Well, that was pretty epic, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone joining. We're so incredibly grateful to her and to, I think it really shows the importance of this election to have someone like Senator Klobuchar in her role in the Senate. Imagine having someone like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be able to hear us and also to welcome us to not only have a seat at the table, but also to have input, as Howie from New Orleans said. So we're going to keep this moving and to continue the conversation with a friend of mine and a legend in the New York City and national hospitality world, my friend Michael Dorf. Hi, Michael.
Hi there.
How you doing? I'm just pulling up your my little intro for you. I see that you're on the move, so we really appreciate you taking the time to pull over. Michael, just so everyone knows, is an American legend, a native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He founded the legendary Knitting Factory, a New York City performance venue, and even more famously, probably City Winery, a chain of live music and wine venues around the country. But he's also an activist, and he has strong opinions about why this industry is important, why this election is important. Michael, let us know what you think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you booking the senator as an opening act for me. She is really great. I thank her so much. Our company, City Winery, and many of the 3,000 venues within NEVA wouldn't be alive had it not been for her and the work that she put in to create Shuttered Venue Operating Grant. So thank you, Amy Klobuchar. I will also put in a plug for Tim Waltz. I happened to be with him at a small fundraiser a few weeks ago where Mumford and Sons was performing, and he really was into the music. I've seen politicians do sort of fake, head bobbing and stuff. He was really into it. Loved the show. So I think he's a true fan of music, which I think that's pretty much all you need as a reason to vote for him in the next election. Yeah, I mean, Ariel, there's so many reasons to support who we're all trying to get into office. But culture and what we do is an important part of society. All the facts and figures that were thrown out earlier that I was hearing in terms of what we create in terms of jobs and the secondary jobs around. I mean, just City Winery in the state of New York is about 700 jobs. We're about 1,500 nationally. But when you add up everything that goes around the micro economy around, even just coming to our place as a show with the drivers and other restaurants and suppliers to us, we are an important part of the economy. And I just that understanding is critical for politicians. I'm thanks to you, you've been highlighting the value that we have as an industry, and please keep pushing. I believe universally there's very few venues and restaurateurs that are not trying to push their team to go out, on November 5th and make a big difference. And we're in some states, some red states, where certainly during the pandemic we saw very distinct highlights of different approaches to culture. But I think what we're experiencing, whether it's Georgia or in Tennessee, there's a lot of support for Kamala. Like it's super exciting to see an understanding of why, even instinctually, you understand their support of culture is going to be enormously more useful.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Their support of culture, is really evident. It's authentic, to your point. And for those of us within the nightlife and entertainment and hospitality industry, authenticity, I think, is key. And also to Amy Klobuchar's point, and even to Oprah's point, it's about joy. And since I'm bringing up Oprah, she is hosting a national Unite call for Kamala tomorrow. You can see on the screen, uniteforamerica2024.com is a call with Oprah. And that's tomorrow. And it really, I think, underscores the element of authenticity and joy and love of culture, and why we have to really get off our butts, understand our personal individual power, and make sure that we are voting. And, I appreciate you also giving me a lot of credit, but really this call, I'm a host of the 24-Hour Nation, this new organization of really about activating and galvanizing our industry to speak with one voice. And this is our first kickoff organizing call. And we want everyone to follow 24-Hour Nation and understand, follow and see where it goes, and to be a part of this movement and register to vote. use your venues to help people to register to vote. And, we still have many weeks to go, and it's too close for us not to really stand up and be active right now. And then once we do get into the White House, then we are going to hopefully have a national seat at the table, so that we can contribute to the conversation even more. Any final thoughts?
Well, count us in on whatever we can do to spread the word. I know we're working with Rock the Vote, but which I think you highlighted earlier.
Yes.
We're hosting several fundraisers ourselves in different markets, but a lot of people are coming through our doors, and maybe not all of them are 100% convinced, or they're on the fence. So any way to leverage all the bodies coming in every night to entertainment venues, the better. And so we're all in to support you.
All in, unite for Nightlife and for Kamala and for Tim Walz.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
taking the time to be with us today. And we'll see you.
We'll see you
out
soon.
there.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm going to take the opportunity right now, actually, to bring back Michael, Paul, and Howie, our former Nightlife mayors, to add some more insight into the economic impact of this nightlife industry and all the other ways it contributes, and why it's important that we are organizing.
Absolutely. Because people understand the numbers, right? We just got a report today, and I'm based out of Atlanta. We just got a report today from the governor. It's 171 million visitors, right? It's a tourism record. It's the second consecutive year that we've had that. That's more than 5 million from 2022. The increase has helped generate nearly 80 billion in total tourism revenue, while supporting over 463,000 jobs. Now, understand, Georgia restaurant and food service. I'm sorry, guys. I have two kids in the background.
We're used to it from the pandemic days. We're all just human. It's fine.
I locked them in the room, but they broke the lock. Georgia's restaurant and food service industry employs more than 500,000 people, making it the state's largest employer after agriculture. The majority of these jobs are in eating and drinking places, which accounts for 80% of the total restaurant and food service workers, right? And I'm reading this fast, guys, because I don't want to do a whole bunch of inundate you with this kind of information. But the point is that we have such an impact that when Howie talks about a seat at the table, like, this movement needs to be more like a political PAC. It needs to be more like a special interest group. I was watching the news today, and the Teamsters didn't give a recommendation to either of the candidates this year, right? In this election. But the power that the Teamsters have, we're not unionized. I don't think, and Howie, I could be wrong because NOLA may be different, but the only place I know that's unionized is in Vegas. And it's surprisingly that New York isn't, because New York always leads the way in terms of those types of things. But the point is that we have the opportunity right now to really, again, to Ariel's point, galvanize. We really can put our feet in the sand and utilize this opportunity with the Harris-Walz campaign to solidify our place at the table. The National Restaurant Association has a place. I think that Nightlife needs a place, and I think that 24 Hour Nation deserves an opportunity to lead that direction.
Thank you, Michael, Paul. I appreciate your insight on the economic power and the power at large. I think that's what this whole call is really demonstrating. Howie,
Can I just say this, Howie?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Howie, it said the food service industry in Georgia is projected to reach $1 trillion in 2024. The industry workforce is expected to grow by 200,000 jobs, which brings the number of employees to 15.7 million by the end of 2024. Because when we talk about jobs and employees, it's two different things, right? So if it wasn't for us, what would happen to this country? I'm go ahead, Howie. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'll tell you this, Michael, we'd be really, really hungry. We wouldn't have anywhere to eat. But I want to echo a lot of what Michael's saying. Like a lot of times we talk about the value of culture. We talk about the value of culture bearers, but what we don't talk about is the economic value. And I love that Michael just did that. We're talking about in the city of New Orleans in 2019, 19 million visitors. That's in a city of less than 400,000. Think about that for a minute. Think about the power and the impact of those numbers. And when we talk about a seat at the table, one of my favorite quotes of all time from the great Ann Richards, the former governor of the state of Texas, she said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And the second we stop advocating for ourselves and showing the value of what nighttime economy really is, it's all of these things. And we talk about Michael Seaman. He's a professor out of Colorado State University, and literally created the NEVA calculator that I posted a little while ago. And for every dollar spent at an independent venue, $12 to $15 goes back in direct spending in the local economy. People don't just go to the show and that's it. They go to restaurants, they go to hotels. Take a look at Taylor Swift. She's literally had a negative impact on the gross domestic product because people are going to that show and they're spending thousands of dollars. She's going to be here in New Orleans, 156,000 tickets, over 90% of them from outside the New Orleans region. They're staying not just in the city of New Orleans, but all through the Gulf Coast to do that. Think about the power and dollars of that when it comes to just nighttime, just that one act. Now think of all the ancillaries that come from that. And so when we talk about that seat at the table, I'm going to applaud Senator Klobuchar because I've yet to meet between her and John Cornyn, Senator Cornyn, fantastic advocates, not just for independent venues and Broadway, but for the nighttime economy. And as they're going after ticketing, as they're helping with PROs, these are all things that matter to people that they don't realize matter. And so we need to keep this drum beating. It needs to not just be a city thing of the 20 or almost 20 night mayors in the United States. There's almost 100 worldwide, and they're adding more every day because more and more people are recognize the value of what we do every day. I've got to thank Michael too. Everything that we do, what we've learned from Ariel. Let's talk about public safety. Ariel's program, Narcan Behind Every Car, which we replicated here in the city of New Orleans. Mm-hmm. There's a thing that came out today on NPR that literally talked about a 20% drop in fatalities from fentanyl overdoses, directly attributing the work and the outreach that people do. Not all these are happening at nighttime. Not all of them are happening in bars. In fact, in the city of New Orleans, there are 4-star restaurants where people have needed Narcan, that have had overdoses. And I hate using the word overdose. It's a poison. You could put fentanyl on your Frosted Flakes. You didn't overdose on Frosted Flakes. Right. But that's what we do. We make things safer. We make things better. We should stop being demonized. We need to continue uniting. I don't care if it's with the Teamsters. I don't care if it's with the restaurant associations, the hotel and lodging associations. We have power, and every time we flex that power and recognize it, we make our communities better.
Amen.
Great.
Well, couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we did an economic impact study in New York City that showed it was a $35.1 billion industry with an ancillary impact and supported over 300,000 jobs and 700 million in tax revenue. This is not your evil stepchild. This is, we are a shining example of the importance of a nighttime economy, and we are a part of the community. We are not just a liability to be dealt with, but an industry and a culture to be respected and supported, and to have a seat at the table. And thank you for coming back and giving that extra insight. And speaking of how many jobs nightlife and hospitality create, we actually have a hospitality worker on deck. His name is Devin Wallace. He's her. This is where the she, her, they. Where's your pronoun?
Okay.
This is live. Devin Wallace,
Hi.
thank you for joining us.
Thank
We
you.
should have met before. Your hospitality career spans over 22 years,
Yes.
right? Beginning in 2002. And I think a lot of people think sometimes hospitality is just a stepping stone, or which it can be great for, but it's also can be a lifetime beautiful career. So, I'm curious for you to share your story about what it's been like to work in this glorious industry and why it's important and why you're here today.
Thank you. I've worked since 2002. I started in fine dining. My dad is an executive chef, so I was really kind of born into the industry. And my parents always gave me a choice: you either go to school or you work. College wasn't for me. Obviously I started when I was a freshman in New Hampshire, but our industry is, as far as at least restaurants go, it's perfect because you can go in completely green and you learn so much constantly. And it just helps even in everyday life. Go to the grocery store, sitting behind you, as silly as it sounds. But it really is, it can be a stepping stone. It's great for a time when I started real estate school, nightlife industry. You have so much time during the day because your shift starts at night. So you can really juggle and have a different work-life balance for other careers that you may seek out. But the community with it has been what's kept me for so long. I've made the greatest friends, basically have become family over time. But then even some of my guests, even when I go out to eat after a really busy week at work, I truly believe that when it comes to the hospitality industry, we're kind of like a saving grace for a lot of people. I can't tell you how many hugs I've received, how many people are just like, I absolutely needed this, especially when you're really providing an experience. It's silly it may sound to some people, we do provide that. And it is kind of like a break from everyday life and just kind of being catered to and kind of forget the little things. So that's what's also kept me here for so long. I genuinely enjoy hospitality. I love making somebody's, night out for dinner turn into an incredible experience. And just for a moment, they're just extremely happy and just like, okay, this was great. So, yeah.
It is truly an art form. People don't understand the art of service and hospitality and the impact that it does have on individuals. I think, not to keep drawing back to the pandemic, but I think it really did give us a glimpse into what life would be like without places to gather and to listen to music and to be served great food with a smile. And it truly is an important industry. It is an economic driver. It's a cultural driver. It identifies local cities' identities, but it also is so important to our personal well-being and the connection we have for other people. And, it's servers like you who enjoy their job that really make it, even in the most subtle way, a place that's warm and an important place to be. And your voice and your experience matters. Right. And, I hope that you're able to, through this platform, really impart the importance of people who work within the industry to use their voice, to make sure that they and their friends are voting, and that we're living in a country that also understands, loves, and respects what you do.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate the nightlife and hospitality workers. They are the lifeblood of the industry, and appreciate you being here today so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for having me.
Thank you. So that sort of concludes our first ever galvanizing, organizing, 24-hour nation Nightlife Unite for Harris-Walz call. It's important for you to know this was the first. Our next is going to be on October 8th. And we want everyone to really reach in to their venues, into their staff, into their patrons, into their mailing lists, into their social, and let us show this country how this industry can unite and what we can do when we do. And I want to just, shout out Randall White, who is the brainchild, or this is the brainchild of that came out of 24-Hour Dallas. He saw the need for this organization and for this call, and here we are today because of you. And so the other thing I want to say is please check out Rock the Vote. Make sure that your venues are making it easy for your patrons and your staff to register to vote, encourage them to vote, make sure they know that their voices are important. If you can, donate to the Harris-Walz campaign. I think we will also have a link here. Unite for Harris donation is a way that you can do that. Donate to the Harris-Walz campaign. You can see it scrolling. Take a screenshot, donate. Tomorrow, Oprah, our darling Oprah, is doing a Unite for America call with Kamala Harris. And so, I think there will be even more guidance, more information, more inspiration, more motivation on why we as an industry need to unite the nightlife industry for Harris and for Walz, and follow at 24-Hour Nation, be part of the 24-Hour Nation, this global and national nightlife governance, management, and motivation movement. So with that said, I am your host, Ariel Palitz, signing off for now. Please join us on our next call, October 8th, and register, vote, and unite. Thank you so much.